right, so it's the day after Nvidia's earnings, guys, and the stock is pretty flat right now. Let me show you what's going on. Let's break down the numbers as well. I know I didn't make a video yesterday, probably should have made a video on it, guys, but look, we're going to break down the numbers, the charts, overall what I'm doing, as it is my biggest individual stock holding right now. So if you guys find value, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that. Check out the links down below. And let's dive into it now. So look, we're pretty much at break even, slightly down on the day, 0.3%, really not much at all. 71 cents, 70 cents down, trading just over $180 a share. And you'll notice here, if I pull up the 5-day, 5-minute, you can see initially when earnings came out, guys, we dumped. This thing collapsed. We closed at 181.70-ish. We saw a bit of a run-up heading into earnings in anticipation of earnings, and then we collapsed all the way down to $171 roughly. That was the low. So we tanked. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it was over a 6% move, which for a $4.5 trillion company, guys, that's a pretty big move, right? And you can see now we're over $180. We have 20 minutes left in the session, and essentially we've recovered that entire initial drop back to 180 bucks, back to where we closed yesterday. And you'll see here on the intraday chart, we actually hit the mid 180s. You guys can see we hit $184.47 this morning. So at one point, guys, we hit a new high. I don't think that was an all-time high, but we hit a new, I guess, multi-day high at that point, right? So that was a good sign. But we then saw a bit of a drop after that. And overall, at this point in time, Nvidia stock is still sideways. That's the reality. I mean, look, on the 20-day chart, you can see it sideways. On the 4-hour chart, if I zoom in a little bit here and get the handy-dandy channel tool out, we can see we're still between $185 as resistance with support at $172. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. And at this point, until we break $185, we're just going to have to be patient, right? We're just going to have to be patient because we got to break 185 for this to overall make that push, technically speaking. And it kind of looks like we're heading in that direction because clearly we're back over the moving averages now. And look at this. Let me make sure I'm recording. Yes, I'm recording, guys. Hit that like button, by the way. Make sure to subscribe. I appreciate you all. Look at what I'm seeing here on this chart. This is a clear cup and handle. Do you guys see the cup and handle right here? We have a cup. We have the handle. And this is approaching now $184, $83, which is the breakout spot. I know $185 is the all-time high. That's also another breakout spot. But in the meantime, let's take 183 out, then worry about 185. We'll see where it goes above there. I think we're going to 200 bucks. So check it out. We double beat yesterday. Earnings were great. They weren't, I guess, a grand slam, if you will, so that's probably why the stock isn't going up like crazy, but they were really good. They were really good, and now that we've had time to digest the earnings, we'll cover them here in a second. Why not, right? But now that the stocks had time to digest the earnings, we're back to break even. That's a very good sign. So I think it's going to trade sideways a little bit more, but ultimately I think we're going over 185 and towards $200 a share to wrap the year up. That's my prediction right now on Nvidia. So let me show you guys what's going on or what happened in terms of earnings. Let me quickly switch over here and see what's going on. Bear with me, guys. And man, I just got this new laptop. I know I mentioned it in a previous video, or maybe that's in the video later. Either way, it's freaking amazing, man. Apple products, look, they're expensive, but boy, do they run, and do they run well. I spent $3,700 on this laptop, and I'm the kind of guy that gets a new laptop every 5 to 6 years, maybe 7 years. Nowadays, more like 4 to 5 years. But it's worth it, man. When you upgrade, it's like, oh, it's unbelievable. But look, Nvidia announced financial results again, like I said yesterday, and revenue came in at $46.7 billion, up 6% from Q1 and 56% from a year ago. Amazing, right? And data center revenue, which makes up a lot of their revenue, a bulk of it, was $41.1 billion, up 5% from Q1 and up 56% from a year ago. Think about that, guys. And Blackwell data center revenue grew, excuse me, 17% sequentially. So if we come down here, we can see some more. And obviously, H20, China, there's a lot going on there. And the crazy thing is, guys, there were no H20 sales to China-based customers in the second quarter. So think about that. Once we get that revenue back, even though the U.S. is getting 15%, it's still going to be a huge addition in revenue for the company and the bottom line and so forth, right? So that's pretty huge. Nvidia benefited from an $180 million release of previously reserved H20 inventory from approximately $650 million in unrestricted $650 million in unrestricted H20 sales to a customer outside of China. And for the quarter, GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins were 72.4% and 72.7% respectively, and excluding the $180 million release, non-GAAP gross margin for the quarter would have been 72.3%. So let's come down here. I want to show you guys the outlook. Let's make sure how we're looking here. We're looking good. The outlook, revenue is expected, I think this is for third quarter, of fiscal 26. Revenue is expected for the third quarter to be $54 billion, plus or minus 2%. The company has not assumed any H20 shipments to China in the outlook. In other words, the H20 shipments are going to be a bonus, like the cherry on top, in other words, right? And GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be about, 73.3%. and 73.5% respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. And the company continues to expect to exit the year with non-GAAP gross margins in the mid 70% range. Let's see what else here, guys, is worth saying. GAAP and non-GAAP other income and expense are expected to be in an income of approximately $500 million. Looks like, the data center revenue was a big highlight, up 5% quarter over quarter, 56% year over year in terms of the highlights here. Let's see. Oh, gaming, guys. Gaming is actually growing big time as well. Sleeper, right? $4.3 billion of revenue, up 14% from the previous quarter and up 49% from a year ago, guys. Growing big time as they launched the Blackwell-powered Nvidia GeForce RTX 5060, which quickly became Nvidia's fastest ramping X60 class GPU ever, right? And they made industry-leading NVIDIA DLSS4 technology available in over 175 games and apps, and coming to top games such as Borderlands 4, Resident Evil Requiem, and Phantom Blade Zero. Big time here, guys, big time. And they announced Blackwell coming to GeForce Now with the new Install to Play feature, doubling the game library to over 4,500 titles. So, great earnings, man. Company is growing, and that gaming division, it's going to be at $10 billion in no time. It's growing 49% year over year, 14% quarter over quarter, $4.3 billion. Obviously, the data center revenue, the data center is the segment everyone pays attention to, but that's a sleeping giant, gaming revenue, guys. It's going to be a bigger part of the business. It's growing into a bigger part of the business, so I'm liking that. And overall, very good numbers, I would say, out of the company, right? And in general, at this point, I'm watching for that breakout above $185 a share. If we go back to the charts, give me a second here, guys. Again, that is the spot to watch overall. And I'm long. I was buying the dip like a madman. You guys know that, under $100 in the 80s, 90s, even low hundreds. I was buying a lot. So at this point, my position's fully built, and I'm just holding on tight, and I'm waiting patiently. And I think overall, the fact that we got pretty good numbers, strong guidance, it's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time before we end up breaking out of that 185 and going to 200. So, what do you guys think overall? Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, join the email stock newsletter. It's free, guys. Literally free, no strings attached. And check out the Patreon. That's not free. But if you guys want to keep up with my portfolio updates, see what I'm doing, all that stuff is linked down below on Patreon. Check it out. And with that being said, I'll catch you all in the next video.